We're here and drinking wine in a yoga studio.
Yep.
Who am I here with?
I am Lish and
We're related.
we are related. I'm Aunt Lish, I guess. Welcome to our podcast.
It's going to be hard for me to get out of whispering. We can talk.
We were just shouting two
We were
seconds ago.
Screaming. It took us 7 minutes to adjust the camera. This is the first time I've sat on a yoga mat for an episode, but I love it, and I think we should do them all like this.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to just fly here and use the studio for your podcast.
For all of them. Yeah, it's very peaceful. I would end all of them with a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we're in a yoga studio because you teach yoga.
I do teach yoga. One of the many things.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. We just were she was showing me how to use this little pillow here.
Bolster.
What?
A bolster. So it's like
it's got a name.
Yep. You can use this for like a restorative yoga or anything that you need support.
It's heavy.
It is heavy. It's dense.
Dense.
If you don't have one, you can use pillows, blankets.
Yeah, you're doing a lot with this.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So like for restorative, it's a class. I tell everybody they can do it. I've never tried yoga. You can do this because it's all about relaxation and sleep and rest. Because like a lot of people think, like self-care, but like people don't practice how to wind down and relax and get better sleep hygiene. Because if you do that, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have like better focus, better concentration, all of that. So that's what I do. And I tell people it's really hard when you first start because your mind's racing.
Yeah. As you were showing me how to use this pillow, this bolster, I was sitting here thinking she's describing some of these classes and the intentions she sets before the classes. And the first thing I thought was, I am not ready to receive this information.
No.
I am not ready for this class. I'm not ready. I'm so stressed all the time.
That's why you got to come.
There was a place in my life when I was doing this.
Well,
right now I would just be a maniac.
Well, that's really good that you say that, because when people say they're like, I can't do yoga, my mind races all the time, I'm not flexible.
We need it the most.
That's who needs it. Yeah. You don't wake up and just are like, okay, I'm going to do like the hardest, most ridiculous yoga pose, pretzel. Like yoga isn't about that. Yoga is about all sorts of things. The movement is just one little limb of yoga.
To breathe for a second.
Breathing, connecting your mind to your body and being present in the moment is like the most important part.
My mind and my body don't even know each other right now.
Yeah, and like knowing the sensations of your body and like recognizing fear responses and knowing like, oh, recognizing my palms sweaty, my heart rate's going up, I need to like cope and go down. So like that's what I say when you try restorative, and I'll help you with those racing thoughts and that constant stress, because that's not going to shut off. Yeah, you have to practice shutting it off.
But this is my problem. I'm one of those people, I'm like, I need to get away from you. I'd be like, I need to be by myself right now. I don't know if I should process all that in a room full of people.
Well, here's the thing. The lights are out. It's just you and your mat.
Nobody's looking at me.
No one's looking at you.
Nobody
cares.
Are
focused on what they're doing, and they're trying to like deal with those racing thoughts.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it too. You forget that you're not the only person.
Yeah, like no one gives
thinking
a shit about what you're
doing.
They're
stuck in their own thoughts too.
Yeah, they're thinking about what they did, what they got going on, whose kid they got to pick up, this practice.
Yeah.
So it's really about scheduling an hour to yourself, and no interruptions, and like putting the practice and putting the work in. And it could take you like a really long time to like me, when I hit the mat, it's gone. Yeah. Like everything, but I have been practicing for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. Years and years ago, you're the one that got me into it.
Yeah.
Like when this was probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When you started teaching, when you like first got your instructor's license, I guess is what you call it. And you were doing things all the time. And I got really into it to the point where I was waking up doing yoga every day. Yeah. And then life just hit me like a tsunami, and
that's what happens.
I forget how to move and breathe.
That's what happens. And like I always tell people, like, if you don't make time for it, your body and your mind will make it for you, and it's not going to be as pleasant.
Yeah.
It's going to be a nervous breakdown. It's going to be a possible hospital. It's
Yeah.
going to be heart, chest pains,
Yeah.
disorganization, just really just not good. But if you make the time for yourself, if you don't do it, everybody around you suffers.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, it's obviously for you, but it's also for the people you love.
Yeah.
You know, like,
be peacefuler.
Yeah, yeah. And just being able to just pivot from different things, cope with different things.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody, just try a class, try it once. You know, we are born to know how to cry and like go to the bathroom. We learn everything else. You learn how to play the piano, you learn how to drive, you learn how to relax. And it's a really, really important skill that people just overlook.
Yeah. Or sometimes you just are like, I don't need it anymore.
I don't need it. I'll just go to sleep.
I'll just be stressed forever.
Yeah. Or they're like, I do self-care. I take a bubble bath. I do this. But like, are you really in it and actually relaxing and focusing on your breath? Or are you just checking off like, oh, self-care?
Yeah, putting it on the to-do list.
Yeah, I did my walk. Yeah, I did, you know. So you really, the important part of it is not just doing it, but really being present in it and like really feeling it.
So for the people who are local, where well, they know where to find you if they're local, but how often are you doing classes? When should people come down here?
Well, I'm at Cosmic Flow in Toronto, and I also am open to going on site, doing private parties.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yeah, I've done poolside. Yeah, I've done poolside. I've done bachelorette parties. I've done like morning.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, they'll have like they'll have their like breakfast mimosas and stuff, and then we've done it poolside. I just worked with a young baseball team in Harrison Central. So yeah, I'm open to doing all that. I'm working with the OU basketball team.
Everybody needs it.
Yeah, and so
you did kids yoga.
I do. I just opened that back up, so I'll be offering that in May, starting with the littlest ones because they are the best.
Yeah.
They have no shame or embarrassment. They are just so into it.
Yeah.
And it's like this, we need to learn from them.
Yeah.
Like when I say like, take a deep breath and blow out your belly, like they do it. You know, like they're not like looking around nervous about what other people are saying. They're like, look how big my belly is.
Yeah,
you know, like I just love that about them.
I need to practice what I preach, but I have my son doing breathing when we're I'm like, take a breath. So he'll do it. And then like he sees me stretch all the time.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I looked over and he was going, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm stretching. Tiny little elbows up. It's so funny.
Like,
and it's just
once
so
you
good,
start that with them,
habit,
like, they get into it and they're just really good at it. Like
I'll catch him in downward dog every once in a while.
One thing you could do is like get a little like pom-pom ball and like have him lay down and put it on his belly and have him like breathe and watch it go up and down. And they really like that. That's fun.
Adorable.
Or like have that little pom-pom and use a straw and say, okay, take a big inhale and then blow through and see how far you can get it. And so it's like a game and they want to see it go across. And then they're actually learning how to breathe and how to get a deep breath. And it's just really fun to be creative. And I like when I do kids yoga, like no parents allowed.
Yeah.
They could come in after to see what we've learned, but like parents have an expectation that they should be
doing it
peaceful and quiet and it's loud with kids and we're just learning and we're learning our bodies and it's fun and we sing and it's fun. So,
different than the adult class.
Right.
The adults are in here just processing our thoughts.
Yeah. So right now I do restorative Wednesday nights, general yoga on Saturday mornings. I just added 2 Sunday classes. It's more of a flow, a little bit more advanced than the general classes, and then the kids yoga.
Do they have to sign up ahead of time?
Sign up your first class, use code FIRSTFREE, and you can try your first class free. And you can find me on any platform. Well, really just Facebook and Instagram, Yoga with Lish.
Me and Miranda might come this week.
Good.
We're going to try for Wednesday if it's not.
You'll love it.
If not, we'll get a Sunday.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Yeah. I need it.
Yeah.
I'll probably be in full tears.
Well, sign up ahead because the restorative's like
booking up.
Filling up. Yeah,
I know. That's why I was like, we're pushing it.
Yeah.
So, okay, question. So you got your instructor's license.
Yep.
And does that just like last forever? Do you have to like renew?
Well, I don't know what the rules are in different states. It's not like a practitioner or anything.
You don't have to keep like
You should. There is the thing called the Yoga Alliance, and to be like, for me, when I do a yoga class, I'm looking for somebody with that certification, because I know at least they are doing continuing education.
Yeah.
They're continuing to learn new strategies, what's, up and coming. In Ohio, I believe you can get your certification and then just teach and never look back.
Yeah.
But I know there's a lot of people trying to change that.
Yeah.
Especially people in the wellness field, they really go outside their scope. People are telling people that, you eat a certain thing and you can get off your meds and it's going to cure you and all this stuff. Stay in your lane. Like, that is so dangerous.
Yeah.
So I am with the Yoga Alliance. I keep up on those continuing education. So I think it's really important. Some people think it's like a money grab, but
you got to keep up with times.
Yeah,
like
you
any
do.
Field.
You do, and there's certain there's a code of ethics that you follow, and it's just really important.
Well, and new things coming out, and that's what the reason I asked is I remember last time I was here, like you were just like Googling different. You're all like constantly learning about it, like the little kids' bellies blown. Like you don't learn that in yoga school.
No, you don't.
You have to keep learning.
That's the thing. Like you get a touch of everything, and of course you test out and all of that. But like, my whole thing and everything that I've ever done is always to have like a beginner mindset, where you aren't the most smartest, you're not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
You can always learn something. You can always take away something. So I always want to just keep learning. And
yeah, that's something me and T are very big on, being forever learners in all subjects, because even the people who you think know everything don't know everything. There's always something to learn. Someone always knows something that you don't.
Right.
And learning more knowledge shouldn't feel like a restriction. I feel like people are so quick to think they know everything, but why?
Right. And
there's so much to learn.
Yeah, and a beginner mindset is just approaching everything like you see it for the very first time, with wonder and curiosity, and just a sponge, absorbing everything. I went to school. I have different things that I've studied, but it's that doesn't mean
it doesn't
done.
Stop there.
Yeah.
Like what you just said. This, with me being a mom, that was something that I read and gave me a different perspective too. Seeing everything through his eyes. Like when he sees something that I'm is so not a big deal, and I'm this is the first time.
Yeah,
and
this is his first time on Earth, and he's seeing it. It's so
and
wild.
It's so amazing, and it just it's very grounding to see that experience and almost live it again.
Yeah,
I'm oh, you love it. I need to pretend I love it too.
Yeah,
and then it just makes you appreciate things and want to learn more.
Oh yeah,
to have that the excitement about things that as we get old and boring we tend to lose.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a really good insight with approaching everything as it's spectacular. I really enjoyed the eclipse. I don't know if you were into it, but
I tried. I don't think we saw what we were supposed to see.
Well, yeah, the way that in Ohio we had full. Here it was 97%.
Yeah,
but for a moment in time, the people that had access to it, everybody stopped. And it was just
everyone was out there in their little glasses.
Yeah, and was just taking in this moment and embracing this experience. It was just so cool. I loved everything about it. So I don't know, there's wonder in every single day, and if you take the time to breathe and connect with your body and experience it. If you're caught up in your thoughts, which everybody is.
Yeah.
I used to really, really be caught up in my mind and in my racing thoughts, and of course there's times in my life when I have more stress, but it's just a reminder. It's wow, I'm really stressed. I don't even know how I drove here.
Yeah.
Blacked out and I'm here.
Disassociating.
Yeah. And you're I missed the last hour. Where have I been? So it's you miss out a lot on life when you do that.
Yeah, a lot. And it makes me really, like you said, you really appreciate the little thing. And I find myself doing that where I take a minute, I'm I'm just happy that my son's not barfing today.
Right.
I'm just happy we're healthy today.
Right.
Things are fine. I don't care if it's raining. There's trees.
Right.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
And like a lot of people are like, oh, that shit. Like it's not. It's there's so much research backing gratitude and just finding like starting your morning with 3 things. And sure, the first 2 weeks are going to be easy because there'll be people, it'll be like big things that you're grateful for. But then you have to get really creative.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, my son isn't sick today, or, you know, just really searching.
You have to think deeper.
Yeah, searching deep, and then you start to notice more. And you know, gratitude is a really great way to. And I really don't get into anything that is not backed by research. Like I especially in this wellness world, like a lot of people are like floating
There's
around.
A lot going on.
Yeah, floating around, and there's just no science behind it. Like, you know, I can't get on board with that.
Yeah.
So like I gotta read the study, and I gotta see like, okay, this does work.
Yeah.
So I am gonna journal every day, and there's gonna be benefits to that, and doing gratitude practice.
Yeah. And I didn't even realize until like that I wasn't doing that enough until my therapist asked. She was like, "When is the last time that you just sat on the porch and drank your coffee?" And I was like, "Oh, I was like, you're gonna think I'm lying, but it's been at least a year."
Oh.
And then she was like, and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "You're right." And once I said it out loud, I like processed it, and I was like, "That's insane.
Well,
like, what am I doing? Why I'm just stressing through."
Right.
And like then time, like you said, time is just flying by because you're just like going through the motions. You're just like doing the day. If you take that like, and I told her I was like, I sat on the porch twice this week.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what I mean? I'm like,
that's
it's
good.
such a big, and you feel better. And then I read like this study about like it's not even so much well, I guess nature would be like the root of it, but it was like if you like it was like 2 to 5 minutes a day of looking at a scenery is it like drops your stress levels like such and such percent. It was approved, like they were like studying this, and I was like, all I have to do is look outside for a couple minutes a day, and I'm gonna be less stressed. I can do that. I can handle that.
Right. And like you can say it's bullshit all you want and just give it a try.
Till you do it and realize it worked. Yeah. And like tell me who's not living on the beach, or you know, and then it's usually like grown men to like hate on it, but they're the first ones to sit outside and drink a beer. They're sitting on the porch, they're looking, they're going hunting, they're fishing. What do you think fishing's doing? You're looking at that water and your stress is dropping.
Exactly.
You're sitting in silence for 3 hours and you feel better because of it.
Yeah.
It's really like the little things that make everything better. Like, and yeah, I think the older I get, the more I realize that, which is like, you know, she's married to Dirty Punk Gardening. If you watched both episodes, which you should, that's kind of what me and him were talking about. Like just our generation getting back to the roots of like being outside, being with the earth, doing things, and how like rewarding it feels to just grow things, create things, like
just for yourself, and just, you know,
exist like a human, like a pioneer woman that I was meant to be.
And just like get into something, like have something that you give a try, like you give a shit about.
You feel good about it.
Yeah. It's just really, really important.
I have friends who will like text me pictures of their plants now. They're like, I'm their dad.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, that's
like,
cool.
Keep
like,
it alive.
Love it. Yeah, I love it for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's I love when people like are really, really into something.
Enjoy things.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And just it could be anything. Like I've always enjoyed talking about people's interests and seeing, because like that's how knitting was for me for a long time. It's like this is what wakes me up in the morning and what keeps me up at night. Like I'm doing. And I could talk about it for hours, but like when you see somebody talk about that, something that they're passionate about, and you see that spark in their eye, and you give them that space to like really be themselves, it's the best.
Yeah,
it's the best.
Not to like blow your head up too much. Another thing that she got me into is knitting.
Yeah, when you were young.
I was, how old was I? 9, 10? I was like,
I don't know. You might have been younger.
I was a child, and I don't know. I bought knitting needles, and I bought a couple things of yarn, and everybody got scarves for Christmas for the next
it was great.
3 years.
It's like, it's the best thing because.
And I think it's because you were so excited about it. I was like, she loves this. I'm going to love this.
We're going to try it. Yeah.
And I got real good. Like
you did.
The first ones were a couple rough, like they were a little rough, a couple rough scarves. But
you
after a while,
yeah.
Yeah. And it's something that I think you would most people think it's very difficult. And then once you get in a little flow, you're like,
Yeah.
wow, my brain is focused. If I did that now,
it's a meditation. It's the same thing. It's a meditation. You're focused on something. It's a repetitive movement.
Yeah.
And I love doing it around kids because they're so curious.
Dude, you would just be like, we'd be doing something and she's just like,
yep.
She'd be looking over here and she's like,
yep.
Halfway down a scarf.
Scotland Littlejohn, she was another one. She sat on my lap at around like age 3 and 4.
Yeah, maybe cut that, bleep the name.
Oh, you
just
can't
in
have
case.
names.
Just in case.
Yeah. Well, she's 18.
I know, but still.
But
you've influenced a lot of children.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, she would sit on my lap and she would just do
watch.
hand over hand, and she learned, and it's just, yeah, kids are always curious. And here's the thing, anybody can learn. They used it, kids learned in other countries, so like as soon as they could walk, they learned to knit.
Yeah.
So it's a good skill. It's a, a lot of people do it for relaxation, meditation.
Yeah, definitely a good thing to focus on. So now that we've talked for 20 something minutes, you're a woman of many things. So we've hit on yoga, we've hit on knitting, which knitting, like, I feel like we could go way into, because another thing that when I was in like middle school, you guys were doing that like Project Linus.
Oh yeah.
I had all my girls were doing tie blankets, donating for things like.
Yeah, we did that for a while. I had a little nonprofit chapter, and we just made blankets, knit, crochet, so whatever, and they were to give to anybody that had any sort of trauma or very difficult time in their lives. It could be you're in the ICU, or maybe you had a parent pass away, or going through a hard time, sickness, illness, whatever, poverty, and it was a cool thing. I did that for a good while,
and it was popping.
Yeah,
because I remember I came to your house and you were like, people are just dropping blankets off.
Yeah, it was crazy. I had a whole room like full, and I like couldn't keep up, and it was just hard. And it was a really cool time of my life. I met a lot of really cool people, and some things are just a season. And I did it. I don't know, probably 8, 9 years. I don't know. It was a long time.
Yeah. All right. Yoga, knitting, crafting. What else? What else summarizes Lish?
Well, there's a lot. I didn't start, my focus like right out of school was like working like in the education.
Yeah. You worked in the schools. You
had
some real crazy stories in the school. I don't know if you want to drop any of those crazy stories.
I don't know. But so
I wish you would.
We might.
Dude,
we might get.
There's one that
a couple.
The one that I'm like. Sis was pregnant.
Oh yeah.
That was such a wild.
Yeah, it was tough. I'll leave that one for the imagination, because
I wish
that was a hard one.
Just think about people being mean to her, because that's what stressed me out. I was like you're just one of the sweetest.
Oh, that one. I was thinking of another one. No. Yes, that one. Yeah, that one's tough. Well, anyway, so when I was in school, we didn't have like access to all these different jobs. Well, where we went to school, and I think probably everywhere, it was sort of like teacher, policeman, firefighter. Those sorts of jobs. Yeah. So I was like, well, I like playing school. I always wanted to be a teacher, so I'll be a teacher. So I went to school, went into education, worked, I kind of went into a realm of like working with people with disabilities, all sorts, cognitive, physical, whatever. And so, I worked in like deaf education for a while, and I wanted to be an audiologist for a little bit. So I just kind of swirled around, and then got towards my student teaching and was like, I don't know if I want to be a teacher per se, but I still want to be in this realm. Yeah. So I was sort of more into, I got my bachelor's degree in Bowling Green State University in developmental disabilities and habilitation. So that would be like working with people behind the scenes, making sure they have like services. There's certain like waivers where they get like, funding from the government, whatever. So I did that for a while. I worked for the county. And then I wanted to branch out. That was my first job right out of college. And I was like, oh, I did not think I would stay in the Valley. So I was like, I saw a thing in the paper. I'm like, oh, I'll respond to this. This will be a good summer job. And then I showed up to the interview. I'm like, ooh, this is like a career type job.
This is like, not, I'm committing to this.
I was like, shoot, I got to be like normal.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. This is like my first like career job, and it was great. I met the most amazing people, and it gave me such a great opportunity. I worked in like I was a behavior specialist. I worked with people with severe behaviors and severe disabilities. That was very new to me. I had to figure it out, learned a lot, and then I kind of went into working with people with disabilities, then trying to be in the workforce. Work is very important to people. It means a lot of things, sense of purpose, and obviously financial reasons, whatever. So I was helping get people help maintain, obtain employment.
Yeah.
So whatever barriers they had, removing those barriers, supporting them in any way that I could to get them to be employed.
Such a needed.
Yeah, it was really cool, and I did that for a while. And then, my dream job was I want to get to Pittsburgh Public Schools. I want to be in the school system. So, I went and I was like, oh, I got to have my master's. So I went and got my master's at Pitt, and I landed my dream job, and it was really cool. I loved it. And until this day, I still loved it. It's not the difficult students. It's not the difficult inner city, nothing like that. The way that the job was set up, I had lots of different bosses. In the district. You can be plopped in any school. So I was pretty much in every school, and I'm a counselor. I'm supposed to be creating relationships with these kids. But if I'm there an afternoon, who is this person?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know who I am.
Right.
But I did have a really cool experience. And they have different cohorts where they're all public schools. There's an art school. And so dance, music, everything, all arts. And that's like all their passion. And a lot of these people are out there on Broadway. They're making music. They're dancing professionally. Like, these people are making it so cool. I was there every Friday. And it's funny because like at the other schools, you could not, the only time you could pull a kid out of to do counseling stuff was like their extracurriculars, art class, this and that.
Yeah.
When you were at this school, you could not disturb them in dance, anything.
Yeah.
You had to pull them out of math,
Yeah.
science, like
complete opposite.
Yeah, it was just really funny, and the environment was cool. There was just so many passionate kids, just like honing their craft. I loved every second of it. And then it wasn't my dream job, so I wanted to work. I wanted to make more money, so I went to a private insurance company, and again, I really wasn't. There was no position. All the positions that I've had, I just went for, and it was like, I could just get in the door and talk to somebody, I'm gonna get. Like, I just had this confidence in me. Like, I'm gonna learn what you want me to learn, and I'm gonna work really hard at it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna show you through my interview that that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make relationships with different people. I'm gonna work. So I was just like, I could just get in the door. There was no positions, but there was a internship, and I wasn't qualified because you had to be a student. I was like, wow. I'm applying.
I'm gonna get around that.
Yeah, I'm gonna apply, get my name in there, and if I could get in the door, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
So somehow my application slipped through, and she was like, "I just noticed you're not a student." I was like, "No," and she was like, "Well,
I was."
Yeah, I said I was at one time, and she was like, "Well, actually, we did just have somebody leave, and we need to backfill this position. So if you'd like to proceed with the interview, we can." And I was like,
hey, that works out.
Proceed.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And so I ended up getting that job. It ended up being work from home. I met a lot of great people. So I landed my dream jobs, but they
change.
They changed.
You change.
They changed. It wasn't creative enough for me. There were, it was corporate. Corporate is not my personality.
Yeah. I was always surprised.
I know.
I was always surprised the jobs that you worked, because I'm like, I was understood the personable aspect. Like, you want to work with people, you wanted to work with kids, you wanted to help people. So that side I understood, but I'm like, she needs to be creating things.
Right.
You need to be in a creative space.
Yeah. And that's what was like killing me softly, and, working from home and not having interaction with people. And it just wasn't a good fit for me. So, I was laid off at one point, pandemic hit. I had to pivot. I was like, I'm going to figure something out. I started a dog walking business for a little bit.
Yep.
That was really fun, and
Passed it off.
I passed it off to a young girl
You
in
started
town.
it for someone,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was just like, this is a really good opportunity for you. Who knows? This could be your first business opportunity. You could grow, you could have employees. And I think she might have been like 14.
Yeah.
And she's like looking at me like, what?
Yeah. She
But
did it.
she
went for
did.
it.
And I just saw something in her that she was so kind and gentle with animals. And like some people just have it.
Yeah.
And I saw that in her. And I was just like, if I had somebody in my life that saw something in me when I was that age,
gave you an opportunity,
gave
like
me an
that.
opportunity,
Yeah.
believed in me, and like planted a seed.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice, man?
Like,
I think about that all the time. I'm like, if I could just go back in time.
Yeah, and like, and that what's great about like growing up is like you get to be the person that you needed for
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah.
And it's like so fun.
Yeah.
And it's so great.
It's a good, rewarding feeling as soon as I can get the thought out of my head, like, man, I wish someone did that for me.
Right. Yeah, and like once you get past that, and then you're like, you know what? I can be that person for me.
Yeah. Jeremy, you guys did that for me for a little, Jeremy got me in the shop. I was helping you guys in the shop. And I think that was like one of the things that sparked, like, I can do businesses.
Yeah.
I can make a business. I can do creative shit and like do
Yes.
something with it. And
it's getting out of your head.
Yeah.
It's getting out of your head and saying yes to opportunity. Yes to being afraid.
Yeah.
Yes to being bad at something.
Get out of that comfort zone. Let yourself be bad at things. You know how many things I was bad at? Dude, I remember the first few so Jeremy had me, what do you even call that? Like when you're like screen printing and you got to pick the letters out. You got to pick out the letters.
That was like heat press.
Heat press, and you have to pick out the letters. So
weeding
when you're getting a t-shirt and it says dog and you have to pick out the circle in the middle of the O, he'd be like, he wouldn't even tell me at the time. He'd be like, well, she left a couple of these in. And, I was very bad at that for a while because I'd be just trying to go real fast. But, like, you have to be bad at things. Yeah. Nobody ever starts anything ever and is just good off the bat. If you are, it's not hard enough.
Right. And you're not being challenged. Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell has a book called Outliers, and it's really good. And he writes about it takes 10,000 hours to become a master. Yeah. So
I've
like
heard that
100,
quote, I never knew where it came
100
from.
hours of like studying, and the rest is practice.
Yeah.
So, and he talks about like the Beatles practicing. He talks about like Bill Gates and like coding. And so like when you are frustrated and you see that person on Instagram post, their graduation pic, or they just got a new 100,000 followers, blah, blah, blah. You're not seeing the 10,000 hours that it took to get there.
Yeah.
So like instead of being like hating on it, like, oh, they're just whatever, just think like, man, that person worked hard.
Right.
Like
let them have it.
Yeah, let them have it, and if there's some jealousy sparking, like explore that a little bit.
Projection.
Yeah, explore that and be like, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah, and I think I think it's very human to feel that.
Oh.
Yeah,
yes.
But and what
it's like checking
I still have those thoughts every once in a while. I'll see people, and it's natural, especially if you like know a lot of people who had what's the right word, like
a silver spoon. Like there are people that
assistants. Yeah, they have families who maybe set them up a little bit more than you might have had, because obviously like we didn't come from that. Nobody had this business ready to pass down to me or anything like that. And so you see things and it's very easy to like get upset about. And I'm like, you know what? The one thing that like I have to constantly remind myself is like their success is not taking from mine. No. And that's what matters. They can be it, they can do whatever, and that might be it for them. That's the thing too. They get that and they're happy and they're content and they're stopping there. I'm gonna be going forever. You know what I mean? And I'm just wherever I started, wherever I end up doesn't affect how they started or they end up. Like we have different,
right?
We're growing separately,
right? And that's completely fine. And yes, there are people that are like, my dad gave me $100,000 to start this business, and I didn't have to go to school, and I didn't have to do these things. Or like somebody, gave me a house, and like they're starting great for you. Like
gave me a house.
Yeah, it's like those things are really great, and that's not taking away from my work and what I'm doing and my focus. And it's like, I have some dirt underneath my nails. Like I had to fight for a lot of things, and it gives me a lot of character, and it gives me a lot of experience that I can then apply. That really adds to my success.
Yeah. And I do think that's a big part of it too. Like I always like I was one of those people like, a lot of your family members want you to like meet a rich man.
Oh yeah.
So like have you ever like met a rich man and then like but you find out he's not the rich man? His dad's the rich man.
Right,
and
right.
It's like and I'm like I don't even like that. I want to know that you had to work for it. I want to know that you like stayed up all night and you're tired and you're not like if you got it too easy, like it's not the same.
Right. Well, there's like you gotta like find this on the internet. There's a quote like Cher is in an interview, and that's before you guys' time, Cher. But like Cher.
How young do you think I am?
Well, everybody knows who Cher is, but like an interview, yeah.
I don't know,
like it's not your like icons right now, but like so Cher is in this interview and she's like, "Don't you want to settle down and marry a rich man?" Something like that. And she looked at her and was like, I am a rich man.
I'm going to be the rich man.
I am a rich man.
Yeah.
So I just love that about her. And it's funny you say that because I grew up with a single mom. I have
seen that now that you say that.
Yeah. I grew up as a single mom. So growing up, it was ingrained in my brain since I could hear you will work hard, you will get an education, you will provide for yourself, you'll buy your own house, you will do it was like every day, like told me like, you will not be in my position. Like you will be able to be with whoever you want because you can take care of yourself and you don't have to be afraid to like not, do what and make the decisions you want.
Yeah.
So in some ways, obviously that drove me. And I had a career, I bought a house at 24. Like, I was career driven and focused really early on in life. And it was very helpful. And in some ways, as I got older, it's like, when I met Jeremy, I still had that like very hard, like female, like I'm going to do this by myself. And it's like, I got here. I'm okay. Like I can let somebody also help me and be my partner, be beside me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do it on my own. It's okay to let somebody in and we could do this together.
Right. And that brings me to a question. But first, that like what you just said, like with your mom kind of hammering you with that, like that was I bring this up all the time to my friends and stuff because like I have friends who are still like on their parents' phone bills and stuff and stuff, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't care, I'm not judging you for it, do whatever, I'm glad they still do that for you, but I'm like, I think about my dad who literally, and at the time I probably hated him for it.
It was rough.
I probably ran my mouth all the time, but like since I had gotten my license, because the one thing I was very lucky enough was to receive a car from a family member. And that was, young me just was like, well, they bought them a brand new car. So at the time, I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, but I drove that car for like 8 years. I drove it till it couldn't drive anymore. But my dad, I always joke about the fact that the whole time I had that car, he may have gave me like $40 in gas money. And it was like, he was like, don't you have a job?
Right.
I started working at 13 years old. Yeah. And I've never talked about that stuff on here because, we don't get in on all this. But like, I saw my first job, I was 13 years old. And once I got that job, my dad was like, why do you need to ask me for money? I'm paying your bills. You live in my roof, so your bills are paid.
Right.
So like the concept of money was planted very early in my brain, and I couldn't thank him enough for that because I know people who still, like I just said, they're just learning it in their late 20s.
People my age, 39 years old, that are still on their parents' phone bill, and it's like, great for you.
That's
but like,
amazing.
We're not the same.
Yeah, and it's just because like, you're tailored to. I'm prepared for this bill, that bill, this bill, so you're like very smart with your money.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle.
You have a concept of, not overspending and buying things that you shouldn't get. But no, you brought me to a good place.
Yeah.
What's the best way to word this? Okay. As a strong woman who was a strong woman before you were a married woman. There's a couple of different routes I can go here, but what do you think the biggest relationship advice that you could give to people, specifically probably other strong women looking for that kind of like, because I could very much call you guys a power couple. I mean, you're
you know,
a
and
business owner.
it's been a
You're thriving.
lot of work. It's been a lot. Our
Hard work.
relationship has been a lot of hard work. You know, you get that 5-year itch where it's like, are we doing this? Are we going forward? It's constant communication. It's constant work. It's constant, like, so my, like, being a very strong, like, independent person. And you know, that I don't know how he wasn't turned off by that, because I resisted so much help.
Yeah.
I would not let him help me. Like, and you know, that to me is sort of a turn off. Like, we're not a partnership in that way. So like for me, I had to build the trust in a man, because, you know, I had a lot of
exes.
Yeah,
We all have them.
I had a lot of things, and it's like I had to build that trust to be like, and what's great about Jeremy was, you know, he wasn't my knight in shining armor. He did not expect to swoop in and like take care of me, and he didn't want to, which I really, really respect that about him, because even today, now that I've softened up a lot, and I do like him to do a lot of stuff for me, probably more than um, it used to be in the beginning, but like he's always just like, he always said, Lish don't need no man.
Yeah.
And I love that about him.
Yeah.
Like, he's
He
just
knows.
like, yeah, he's like, Lish don't need no man. Like, and if I would be like, can you do this for me? He's like, I'll show you how to do it, and you can do it. And which, that's what I really liked. Like, I didn't need a knight in shining armor. I needed a partner.
Yeah.
Somebody that is by my side, I can learn from, and who's gonna cheer me on. He's not gonna do shit for me. But he does know there's times that he has to soften up and then, you know, be there for me. So it's really communicating. It's learning each other and being vulnerable. Like, I think being vulnerable and like, that's a really, really important thing.
The hard thing.
It's very hard. And just, you know, if you don't let your guard down and you don't let yourself trust, yeah, there's a really good chance you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
that's the worst.
Right. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna survive. But like, if you don't let somebody in and you don't let yourself be vulnerable, you're not gonna get the good parts.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course, like, if you lose a partner, or if that person is like falls out of love with you and wants to move on, like, you're gonna be shattered. But like, it's gonna make you feel alive, and you're gonna I don't know, you're going to come back from it, you're going to learn from it, and in the next relationship, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm very corny, and I love that everything happens for a reason. I'm a very firm believer in that, whatever the reason is. But I think, like what you just said, if something really bad happens in one relationship, you're going to find out in the next relationship why that didn't work, or what you could have learned from it, or, you know, what could have been done differently, or, you know, just everything's a learning process.
Yeah.
And it feels very like, my therapist told me I shouldn't use relationships as learning experiences.
Well, yeah, but I mean, yeah, you learn, you know,
if you're doing your best the whole time, it's not intentional, but I'm like, I have to take something from this other than sadness.
Right.
Something.
And it's funny you say, like, you know, the everything happens for a reason. A lot of people like really, and I love that. Like, but for me, that's not something that works for me.
I could tell by your face.
Yeah, it's not something that I like. I don't feel like there's a plan. I don't feel like my life is mapped out.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a series of events that I make choices for, and there's pathways that I can take, and that I create. Like, I don't want everything happens for a reason to take credit for the choices that I make.
Yeah.
Like, I'm making very intentional choices, and putting a lot of hard work in. And I don't think that it's not me saying like I don't believe in that. I think it's great. I think it's a great way. I think it's a great mantra, especially when things are tough.
Yours isn't. It's an advanced. I can tell you about a book that I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Law of Attraction.
Are you
familiar with her? The Law of Attraction and manifestation as a whole.
Yeah.
Pretty much what that. I mean, to summarize it is, we are as humans, we are way more in charge than what we like to think. And I think I haven't owned up to that yet.
Yeah.
I'm still letting the earth is has taken control, and my decisions, I don't know yet. We're still it's a work in progress. But that's like an advanced. Yeah, you're right. At the end of the day,
and you know what? It's a mantra. It's like things that, like people have certain things that they believe in, and if that gets them through the day,
it can make you feel better.
It makes you feel good, and it makes you feel less alone. Like for me, it has to be, like I said, everything has to be backed by research. It has to make sense. It has to be proven.
You're right, analytical.
Yeah. So
logic.
for me, it's like, well, I can't leave it up to just letting things.
This is why.
Yeah, like I can't just be like it happened. Yeah, I can't. And it's like usually, well, that happened because I was an asshole. Like that person's out of my life because
I caused this problem.
Yeah, I didn't listen to when they expressed their needs, I blew it off.
Yeah.
Or that person didn't listen to my needs and blew it off. So you know what? I went a different path. So like for me, it is very much more of like I'm living with intention and I'm making choices to create those pathways.
Well, you know what? I'm not ready to own up to my mistakes.
Well, and that's a very hard thing to do. I'm only, I'm 39. Like I have so much life to live. Like I'm just really settling into like my authentic self and trying to live like the healthiest that I can. And, that's what I've kind of learned. I can't just give it up to like wishing and like hoping like, oh, well, whatever I do, it's just going to work out.
The right things are going to flow my way.
Yeah. And I do firmly believe that things have a way of working out.
Yeah.
But you have to do the work.
See, and that's what stresses me out more. And I feel like I have to do a lot of work to find out what's supposed to do what. Because I'm at the point now where, I might get like 2 routes in front of me and I'm like,
yeah,
what am I supposed to do here? And I think the problem is, exactly what we're talking about. Like, why am I not doing yoga? Why am I living my days stressed to the brim of wanting to explode? And if I think if I did more work on myself and personally just like calming the F down, it'd be easier to navigate through the things and figure out which makes more sense. Because right now I'm just like, the earth will tell me.
Right. Yeah. Like it's a very easy life to just be like, there's a plan. There's a plan in place. And that I love that for people. I really do, because it's much more stressful,
it's peaceful
to feel that like
everything.
Yeah, like I'm in charge. I'm in charge here. I'm making my luck. I'm doing the work.
And that's a weight.
It is a very big weight.
That's a responsibility that you have to. That's an accountability that most of us cannot handle.
Yeah, like I can't imagine waking up and being like, my plan is already set out. So whatever I do.
Yeah, and I wish. No, but I'm like, shit. If this is how it's supposed to go, no. And that's why my things that I'm figuring out take 6 months to a year, because I'm like, I know at the end of the day that I have to do the work here, but I'm just like hoping I get little bits and pieces of signals and things that will like help me steer a little bit. Just give me some clues of what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, so the book is The Law of Attraction, and it's which I found out recently. Okay, so this is weird. This is a total shift, but we're gonna go there. We can cut this if you want.
I don't care.
Religion.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, I'm not religious.
Okay, so neither of us are like religious as you would like, as you would like describe a religious. So I found out recently though that because for the past 25 years of my life, my entire life, I didn't understand the Bible because I'm like, where did it come from?
Yeah.
Okay, so this book that I'm reading though, The Law of Attraction, is the concept, which I didn't understand until someone said it to me. It's a lady in these, which your logical brain is not gonna process this, but the concepts that they give, I like. The whole concept of the book though, it's a thing speaking through her. And then so I said to this person, I was like, at one point I was like, I don't understand like how the Bible works, and he was like, the same way that you just described that book. Oh
yeah,
speaking through them.
Yeah.
So then I was like, still don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Still strange, but every concept in the book I love. And it's mostly just what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like these things of like, humans are so much smarter than we think. We have so much more control than we think. This reality is what we literally make it. We have all this knowledge, and just like the older we get and the more time goes by and the more we want to understand and process and be in control of things, you're able to.
Yeah.
So it's like Abraham is the guy's name, and he's like speaking through this Esther. And at first I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And it's such a crazy concept, and I'm not like,
yeah,
I can't speak for the whole book itself, but as far as it, like the lessons it teaches you to be in control of your own life and to like,
yeah,
there's a lot there, because and it's they say some off the wall stuff, like they haven't been to the doctors in 25 years,
Yeah,
and like
can't.
they're like, I just speak that I'm healthy and I stay
like
healthy.
I cannot.
That's a lot. I'm like, all right,
I cannot with that.
That's too much.
Yeah.
But so then
like
I'm
modern medicine saves people. Like,
yeah, there's
what I can't
exist for a reason.
What I can't stand is like people with cancer are like, oh, I took this supplement and my cancer is gone. Yeah, you also had chemo, you asshole.
Other things worked.
Yeah, the chemo is what
time.
took the cancer away.
Yeah.
And now you're pushing this stupid ass supplement that is going to kill people.
Yeah.
Like,
you just happen to be healthy for 25 years and now you're telling people they don't need to get
right.
checkups.
Like I cannot. And
yeah.
It's a lot. You could cut whatever, but like I can't.
No. Can we leave it?
I can't get on board with people like,
we need controversial clips.
I can't take wellness people that that because people are very vulnerable when they're sick.
Drink this herb and it'll fix all of your problems.
Yes, are very vulnerable.
Everybody's so different. That's such a risky thing to say because we are all so different.
And this brings me to a really good point, especially in yoga. There are a lot of people that are like, do yoga and it cures your mental health and this and that and bullshit. There is no cure to that.
Cure is an aggressive.
I have a mental health background. I am a rehab counselor. There are tools for recovery and treatment. And part of that treatment can be, and not limited to, medication, psychiatry, therapy, yoga,
depending what you have,
exercise. All of these things are linked in your toolbox. And if somebody says, like, has a cure for it, and it is an Instagram influencer that has no credentials to talk about it, do not listen to it. And it really frustrates me because I have a lot of boomers that fall for a lot of this stuff. We have access to the internet, and just because somebody has 100,000 followers and is backed by this dumbass supplement or this idea, it is very detrimental to people with mental health issues.
People will talk very confidently about things. Just because it worked for one person doesn't mean it's going to work for the other.
And
talk to a doctor about it first. Talk to a couple doctors about it first.
Do not come off your medications. Do not do that. Listen to people within their scope that have studied and have done research. Don't listen to somebody that has a workshop certificate and is telling you how to live your life.
I don't think I've talked about this here either. I got my thyroid removed.
Right.
Every once in a while people ask me what's the scar, but like I had people try to tell me, no, you can do this and this and this and this. I'm like, I have lumps growing on my.
Right.
I was like, it's going to turn into cancer. How are you going to fix that?
Right. Hank Green, he's on social media. He's like this super smart person. And he talks about these things all the time. And because he recently had cancer, and he talks about people that go on here and are like, oh, this saved my life. This cured my cancer. No, it didn't. You had chemo. And then you took this dumbass supplement.
Yeah, multiple things.
Yes.
Together.
And the reason, like, you are a detriment to people that are very vulnerable and that are very scared. And people that are in that position, they will hang on to every word. And it's very, very dangerous.
Well, and especially like today, I feel like we are all so quick to find the most natural thing, which I think is great.
There are great things.
Go natural before you're going to go like, painkillers or aggressive thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can
try different things first, do it, but consult a professional. But I think that's part of the problem. People want to go natural. They want to stay away from chemicals and this and that. And you just have to watch where you're getting the information from.
Right. And it's like I don't know why there is shame, especially in the mental health world and especially now. They're like
People are so open about mental health now, and it's
yeah,
such a it's currently Mental Health Awareness Month.
it is, and it's really great. I just don't know why people, especially wellness people, have such this like problem with taking a medication for your mental health.
Yeah.
I really don't understand that. Depression is not something that is just a case of the SADS. If you have clinical depression,
Case of the SADS.
yeah, if you have clinical
Andrew Tate.
depression, you are not. This is not something you're going to shake with a shot of wheatgrass.
As Andrew Tate said, depression is a choice.
Oh, see,
I like Andrew Tate. I won't go there because I know half of what he's saying is like trolling his audience. Just doesn't know that, so he needs to chill out on his audience of young boys who doesn't understand. But like, I'm currently unmedicated,
and that's fine.
It's been years and years and years. I was on medication from probably 14 to 21.
And I will say, at that time when you were 14, there were people prescribing different things that was out of like,
different time.
Like right now, especially right now, primary care physicians really aren't prescribing mental health medication.
Yeah.
They are referring you to a psychiatrist, a nurse, a psychiatric nurse practitioner. These are the people that know this medication, know these.
Yeah.
Know this illness.
We talked about this the other day. Now they do gene tests if you really want to know what your body likes and doesn't like.
And those gene tests.
Yeah, I mean, don't trust it 100%, but
no, and a lot of people won't even do them because there's a lot of leeway there.
It's a problem.
Well,
everything's a problem.
Well, it's not so much a problem, but there is, it's not 100%.
Yeah. I did.
It's a guide, but a lot of people won't even mess with it because it's not ready.
But it was right for me.
It's not ready, and if it works for you, that's great.
For me, strangely, because the things which, granted, I didn't take a new medication after I got it. I did the gene test, and something that I had taken in the past that was, so basically the way it works is they're like, this is not good for your body, this is okay for your body, and this is like a gray area. So there is like a huge gray area. So it's like red, green, and yellow, which yellow is a big gray area if you don't know if it's going to work or not. So of course it's not 100%. Nothing's 100%. But one of the things that was in the red for me, I had taken as a young 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old.
Which was probably prescribed by a primary care.
Yeah, it was not, I don't think I was seeing anybody psychiatric wise.
Right. You weren't.
And like, it was a problem.
Yeah. And you have to think like people are like, oh, my family doctor prescribed this, but they're not in treatment. They're not in therapy. They're not doing exercise. They're not eating right. Like all of these tools have to come
together. They work together. And that was
something
it took me a long time to realize, like, if I was already on the medicine and it was working great, then I would just transfer it to my primary care. They'd prescribe it to me. I'm like, all right, who's monitoring this though? Who's making sure it's still working? And
yeah, you should be following up.
I'm very picky. It took me 4 years to find a therapist I liked again.
Well,
like,
and
you have to monitor
that's a whole thing too. You have to find someone that you're going to mesh well. Like for me, they have to be very, very smart.
Are you still in therapy?
Oh, I'm a lifelong
therapy.
Yeah, I was a counselor. Like part of my counseling education was therapy.
Yeah.
Even when things are going really great in my life,
you need it.
I use therapy as my goal setting.
Just good.
Yeah, talking it out through somebody. Yeah, and it's great to have somebody that's unbiased, that is constantly in your corner.
Yeah.
So yes, I think therapy is a really great tool. And what is really important for everybody to consider is you have a formula and you have to figure out what your formula is. Mine took me a while, but it's journaling, it's yoga, it's eating right, it's exercise, it's therapy, it's medication, it's meditation, it's connection with people, it's setting boundaries. These are all things, but when I was having a difficult time, it started off with 3 minutes of meditation. it started off with medication, counseling. Like I added all these things to my formula, and now like I feel really great. But when there's times of crisis, it shifts, and I need help, and I have to pivot to see what else is going to work, and what's working right now might not work in 5 years.
Yeah, being ready for change. That's what I never in a million years thought that I would be my best off medicine, and maybe my best is a stretch, but like my like calmest. For the 90% of the time, I'm calm, and that was my problem. That was why I was on the medicines. I felt like I could never just like
and a lot of
exist.
And a lot of medications will also, treat symptoms. And a lot of people think, well, I take depression. Well, you can take that. That's great, but part of the medication is the behavior changes.
Yeah.
You got to do them together.
And the diagnosis changes, which we don't talk about a lot. Which, I mean, we're here already, so might as well go there. I mean, like when I was very, very young, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression. As I got older and older, they were like, no. I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then it went to possibly borderline personality disorder, which is very, very different, because technically there's no medication to treat, because you got a lot of symptoms at once. If you treat one, the others up and down. And so, and that's what I think that's what I'm leaning towards, is the most realistic, because being not on anything, it's made me feel the most in control of all the things. And that's why I think maybe why being on a depression medicine, I was only treating the really bad days that I was having versus so we were just manic. We were just really excited, doing crazy stuff all the time.
Well, and I'm not an expert on medications. I know through experience with some of the people that I've worked with, myself, if you have certain mental illnesses, an SSRI, which a depression medication can send you into mania. Yes. So that is a very thing that you have to, make sure that's why a primary care should not be prescribing these. And this is not my expertise. No. I'm just speaking on my experience.
This is just like world problem. It's mental health month. And I think a big problem here is also like where I live. You know how long I was on the wait list to see a psychiatrist? Wow. 9 months.
That's really sad.
9 months. And everybody, I've seen 2 people in the past year, 2 different people, both of them are rotating floaters because they can't even keep people. So if you're looking to go to school for something, please be a psychiatrist, because the world needs you.
Well, and to like, I was having a lot of difficulty in the last handful of years. And like I was ripping through, it was during the pandemic. It was like video calls. Like I had different med managers. It was like a different therapist all the time, but I knew it's like, Lish, go through the motions. It doesn't matter who it is.
Just talk to someone.
Talk to somebody. Yeah. There's a really powerful video about men's mental health right now, and I'll send it to you. Mel Robbins, she is a really great motivational person. All of her stuff is research based. A lot of good books. The High Five Habit. All kinds of different things.
We'll put her in the bio.
Yeah, she's really great. Very positive. She's very real. But she just posted about men's mental health and some depression, and it's really, really important that you don't, you do what's good for you. Yeah. Right now, medicate, like you said, for borderline, you can treat symptoms, with medication, depending on what your symptoms are, but there really isn't a medication that treats borderline personality. So, the most important part is therapy and behavioral changes. And what is so amazing that you are doing is you're in it. You are doing the work, because a lot of folks with this don't have the awareness. Yeah. And have really difficult relationships.
I don't love my That's so funny you say that. One of my friends, the therapist I'm seeing right now, like I said, I've had 2 in my entire life that I loved. One here in Toronto, which probably I started seeing because of you. She was the counselor at the time, or the nurse/counselor. She was both. Yeah, I started seeing her. Okay, and then they referred us to a actual counselor. So I started seeing someone out of town. I stuck with her for 4 years, and then I moved away. Couldn't see her anymore, obviously. And then I trialed through maybe 3 or 4 people in South Carolina because I'm like, I just need to talk. I
Yeah.
just like, it feels good to talk to someone who knows more than me. Just, I need to talk. I need to get it out. I need your opinions, unbiased opinions. They do it
Yeah.
so gently.
Mhm.
My therapist now, like, she'll like take her glasses off. She was like, can I be real with you?
That's what I like.
This is what I need.
Yes.
This is, you understand me.
Yeah. And you have to understand there are good doctors, bad doctors, good teachers, bad teachers,
Yeah.
good counselors.
Don't see the
bad.
first one and give up.
Yeah.
That's
And give it some time. Give it some time. You might not mesh well, and that's